Does AI bring forward new capabilities that create new experiences for the consumers that we serve?
How have you seen AI kind of changing the companies within your portfolios and how you think about investing?
The empowerment of these creators, single-man companies with AI tools is just incredible to watch. These entrepreneurs now are 14, 15, 16 years old, empowered by AI. That is where a 14-year-old creator creates like a tens of millions of dollar business within 2 weeks.
Speed is of the utmost importance. Things are happening in months, not years anymore.
How worried are you both about the big tech companies like the OpenAIs, the Anthropics, the Googles?
The one thing that I do know though, we are at a time in the technology space where an entrepreneur has access at all times at affordable cost to the most cutting edge technology that there is to build a company.
I do think we need to avoid this kind of AI slopification of VC.
Great entrepreneurs need to be great human beings for the time being.
Next up, we have as a moderator, Amy from Sifted, a phenomenal journalist that covers this sector, and she's joined by two others today. So Amy, I'll introduce you up. Welcome up to the stage.
Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Amy. I'm editor at Sifted. We cover tech and startups and venture capital in Europe. In case you don't know of us, please check us out. And I am joined by this wonderful panel to talk about a topic that's keeping us all talking, which is obviously AI and specifically how it's reshaping capital allocation. So with me today, I have Jens Hilgers, who's the founder of ESL, the German unicorn which was acquired in $1 billion exit a while ago, and Bitcraft Ventures, the leading global investment platform for the future of entertainment and video games, and the first investor in Allocator One. I also have Jess Bartos with me, who is the newest partner at Notion Capital. She's just joined the firm from Salesforce Ventures and is responsible for its growth investments. So thank you so much, both of you. So I guess to start off with, how have you seen AI kind of changing the companies within your portfolios and how you think about investing? Big question there. Who wants to go first?
All right, so I think a very complex answer to a simple question, it seems. So fundamentally, the way that we look at the companies that we invest in our portfolio is sort of three pillars. Number one, do these companies that we look at and have in our portfolio truly incorporate digital labor, which ultimately AI brings forward, in their process to create product, to create service, and provide service. So it's such a simple statement, but just so profound, simply because working with digital labor, working with AI-based agents to really create efficiencies and create moat is something that is actually still quite unique, even though we're into this AI cycle now for quite some time. So really look at the teams. Are they building digital labor first with the DNA and mindset? Second, and that's a broad view across all the different subsectors and subsegments we look at. Second, we look at companies that build agentic capabilities for companies to get better in how they work and how they build. Thirdly, we look at, does AI bring forward new capabilities that create new experiences for the consumers that we serve? We're in the entertainment space, a bit different from, I guess, most of the people in here, which seems a bit more deep tech oriented, but in the entertainment space, there is a huge opportunity of AI bringing forward new experiences unseen before. We have not seen them come forward just yet. We're too early in the cycle, but that's the three kind of pillars I think we're looking for. What's fascinating for us to see is how does the moat change in this AI world for the companies we're looking at, for portfolio as well as the new companies we're looking at. And it seems like with AI bringing down the cost of software engineering, ultimately trending, I don't want to say towards zero, but there's a clear line that says software development, which is a big part of what we allocate capital for, right? What is the requirements? What's the use of funds? R&D, like investment in software technology in the video game and entertainment space. It's creative as well. The cost for delivering that comes down. Where's your moat as a company when sort of software technology is not the moat anymore, when replication of your stack gets so easy? Ever more, the moat becomes network effects, which are incredibly difficult to identify. B, size and scale and your brand. And how do you actually provide the right form of capital for this? This probably goes beyond just equity-based financing as we've seen it before. User acquisition, breaking out in an ever more noisy environment with ever more copycats that come to market faster than ever, requires scaling capital, and oftentimes equity is not the right answer for that. So as one example for that, how does it change like how we look at companies, how do we change ourselves? We like built a debt fund for like scaling user acquisition as well to like set our companies up for success. What's it meant for sort of entrepreneurs? In the gaming space, there's some interesting examples, like we have a creator community in the creative space that drives a lot of like value creation in the entertainment space. The empowerment of these creators, single-man companies with AI tools is just incredible to watch. These entrepreneurs now are 14, 15, 16 years old. Who here knows Roblox, by the way? Roblox? Yeah, I mean, that was probably out 40%. For the remaining 60%, look at that company. 450 million users a month. Now 5% of the entertainment industries, like the games industry's revenues, are sitting with Roblox. That is where a 14-year-old creator creates like a tens of millions of dollar business within 2 weeks. Empowered by AI, like ever more on the platform, off the platform, and like builds a real business, delights customers, and iterates very, very quickly, which, by the way, is one of the aspects I forgot, sorry. Speed of execution and iterating on your product once you have it there is such an important capability, and that you can only bring to the table if you truly understand how to use these agentic capabilities AI brings forward. Because once you have a product, once you're in a leading position, like what holds the moat besides the things I'm saying is like execute very, very quickly. So that's probably some of the main aspects that we're looking at.
And Jess, would you agree? How are you kind of thinking about the moats companies need these days, like things like the cost of acquisition? Like where has, I guess, focus you place when you're assessing companies? Where's the balance shifted as a result of AI? And also how fast companies are changing and growing, and how many new competitors there are, and how easy it seems to be to spin up new things?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would agree with what Jens pointed out about how just building software itself, building code in a technology stack, is no longer much of a moat at all. That barrier to entry is rapidly coming down as you can generate code and generate whole businesses using other AI tools or other AI models like Claude Code or Lovable or Windsurf or what have you. So I don't think we see too much of a moat being just in a technical differentiation or how you've coded or the quality of your engineers anymore in software. You need something else. You need several more layers to your moat. We see this in data, both data quality and proprietary data or unique data sets. We see this emerging in accessing perhaps financial rails in a unique and differentiated way, tapping into fintech or finance as a moat. We can see this as verticalization as a moat, being highly specific to a sub-industry or an area that the generalist models will fail to understand and generalist tools can fail to understand. And then third, I'd say is, user love and delight, which Jens also alluded to, deeply understanding your users and providing them some kind of value add that's unique. And then with regards to the speed question, I'd say speed is of the utmost importance. We're seeing spikes not only in how quickly a company can be created and die and grow, but also how quickly the technology cycles are shifting. Things are happening in months, not years anymore, and companies need to be able to adapt to that. So I'd say execution and speed of execution velocity is imperative.
And when you're thinking as a fund kind of when to invest, is it the first vibe coding platform you see, the 5th, the 10th? Like when do you sort of feel in the cycle, because each one that comes has learned from the previous successes, but you don't want to invest too late. So how are you thinking about that kind of thing?
I think it's kind of a classic business dilemma. Do you want to invest in the first mover, or do you want to invest in, the later movers? For instance, you could have invested in MySpace instead of Facebook, right? And you've picked the wrong social network. I'd also say in the AI coding space, Tab 9 was doing AI coding or machine learning-based code generation many years ago. It's not the winner today. It's somebody like a Cursor. So I don't think the first mover is always necessarily the right one to place your bet in. I think you kind of need to evaluate each business and each market as it comes.
How worried are you both about the big tech companies? I'm thinking like the OpenAIs, the Anthropics, the Googles moving into, especially, I mean, you've spoken about the vertical areas. I imagine they're further down the to-do list for an OpenAI, but vibe coding or lots of the kind of note-taking app, the productivity tools, the virtual AI, I sort your meetings for you assistants. Like, surely the Googles and the OpenAIs can move into them pretty soon.
Yeah, I'd say there's kind of two pieces of that question. Is like OpenAI and Anthropic, like the biggest AI companies, they're not going to build vertical applications for, say, healthcare or manufacturing or other, tax or audit. They're going to be focused on the much bigger, broader horizontal markets. And I think they're kind of really going after being the AWS or the Azure of the AI era. So they're trying to be that generalist horizontal platform with many subproducts underneath, but basically capturing almost that infrastructure spend that is so crucial. But then on top of AWS and Azure, dozens of incredible cloud companies were built that either addressed a particular function in an enterprise from a B2B perspective, addressed particular consumer use case, whether it's transport or food delivery or whatever, or address particular verticals. So I think a similar trend will play out in AI, where we'll have these foundational model companies that are infrastructure and many new things built on top.
Yeah, I probably have a bit of a different view in the sense that I have a hard time looking in the glass ball and saying, what will they do in the next 3, 4, 5 years? I think I would underwrite what you're saying for maybe the next 1.5 years, but there's so many individual moving components right now in the AI space that could fundamentally shake still somebody like OpenAI or Anthropic, that I have a hard time saying, will they not build a platform? One example would be memory. Like, the next big unlock for the large foundational models will likely be a memory layer that plays in way different ways with the consumer. When that happens, will that become more of a platform that sort of does more in the consumer space? Maybe. Seems likely. I don't have the answer. The one thing that I do know, though, we are at a time in the technology space where an entrepreneur has access at all times at affordable cost to the most cutting-edge technology that there is to build a company. I don't think I've ever seen a time in the last 30 years since I'm a software engineer and entrepreneur that I had the capabilities that any other large company has at their hands at affordable cost and can go out and build awesome stuff. So based on that, I don't know what will happen in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but what I do know is the tools to build amazing new product, to delight customers, to build valuable service, they're all in your hands right now. And I don't think I've ever seen such capabilities around before for entrepreneurs.
What about it when it comes to acquisitions, though? We've already started seeing the big tech players swoop in, and whether it's actually buy a company or it's just hire the founding team, that's beginning. Is that something that worries you, or is that something you're starting to think about when you invest?
Well, as long as Meta pays $200 million for that, maybe I'm fine. I think acqui-hire is a fine exit and a viable exit strategy apparently these days. But I've not seen a case where sort of a company that we would have invested in the last 2 years just had a significant problem because a key person was all of a sudden snatched by one of the big ones. So I do not see that as a prohibitive or a significant problem for investing in the earlier stages right now.
Is that actually a liquidity strategy for you?
I guess more than ever before.
Yeah, I think it can, what we've seen with the Windsurf acquisition, what's going on with Scale AI, what's gone on in the past with Character and Inflection AI, I think it really gets complicated when you get into the weeds of how do these big tech companies acquire these hotter AI companies that were valued very highly, and who gets compensated through that waterfall as they either hire out the top talent and license some of the technology, in which case I think the investors behind those businesses don't get anything, or some other flow through. But I think we're seeing it unfurl in a very novel way, I think, now, with some of those examples that I mentioned, and to be seen if that's a successful way to actually get talent for the big tech companies. And I'm not sure how everybody gets compensated through the waterfall, but it's not traditional.
And how is AI changing your day-to-day, both how your funds operate, how you source companies, how you work with companies? How's it changing that?
So as a software engineer myself, I've always paid a lot of attention in our sort of firm, and just to put this in context, we're about 30 people globally, very decentralized. We sit in Asia, in Europe, in North America. So we always needed, or I always wanted the team to be empowered by process and information superiority across the entire 7 different funds that we manage and 4 different strategies. So I've always paid a lot of attention to building tooling that empowers the investment team to be more efficient, to be more in sync, and to really play to all sort of the depth that sits around across the investment team. I was always surprised so we have a lot of exchanges with other, CTOs, where they even are there, in other larger venture firms even, and I was surprised by the fact of how many still work in spreadsheets, like for portfolio reporting or for, deal flow and diligence, or stitch together 20 different tools to get the job done. So we've paid a lot of attention for automizing and building stuff ourselves. Now with AI, I myself am vibe coding in the night and building out stuff for us, and it's the most delighting experience as an entrepreneur and software engineer that I had in the last 30 years. And I do believe, we don't have analysts anymore. We don't need them anymore. That is capabilities that sit in the hand of digital labor that we have optimized for ourselves. It improves speed of decision making. It improves transparency on what information we have available, because there's so many different data sets that we observe, collect, and harvest from as a VC across all the different regions and subsegments that we invest in, that large language models are really the unlock to make good use of that. So I believe that we see in the future, and we're trying to set ourselves up for that, is one, it will remain a brand play across the board and across the stages. It will increasingly be one where efficiency and time, the agility is not there only for companies that are playing in this space and that need to succeed by being agile and fast. Same applies for VCs. How do you get that in place? Well, you got to equip yourself with the right tooling, and here AI is helping a lot. So I believe strong software technology powering a larger investment manager, as well as the brand strengths that they have, which is ultimately incorporated by the quality of people that they have. It's going to be the 2 moats that there are. And here we are paying a lot of attention to how do we build these tools with AI, and how do we create cutting edge technology to empower ourselves and set ourselves up for success.
So we're looking at a future where there's either huge brand VC plays or much smaller, nimbler, data-enabled funds that can preempt deals and get in super early. And is that kind of what you're seeing?
I think smaller and emerging managers do suffer a bit more from the fact that how do I get great tooling in place? If you're a small emerging manager, small not in a negative way, but if you're an agile emerging manager with 2, 3, 4 people and a limited budget of developing stuff, optimizing stuff, you need a platform, maybe and hopefully such as Allocator One. We're paying a lot of attention to how can we build the tooling for teams to get that in place, but you can't build that yourself. You can't optimize for yourself and for your team. So, but the strengths on the other hand side, and AI is not changing that, in the very earliest stages, it's people business still, and that's not going to change, right? And the mode of these emerging managers, and that's one of the key reasons why Allocator One succeeds with these emerging managers, is people networks and deep differentiation on the segments and industry that they really know inside out with the networks attached to it. But whenever you, I think scale towards 300, 400, 500 million in assets under management, you scale to 2, 3, 4 funds under management, then I think these capabilities become important and you got to pay attention.
Jess, what's going on behind I know you've only just joined at Notion, but or at your last company, Salesforce Ventures, how were you kind of thinking about adapting, making your fund resilient for the future?
Yeah, I think there's so many ways that AI unlocks, efficiency and productivity and reach as a VC. We invested in this heavily at Salesforce Ventures. We had a dedicated, almost CTO type, who was creating our tech stack and our data strategy specific to us. And we have something similar at Notion, which has long had a very data-driven strategy up to the earliest stages, even before top performers in a certain company are thinking of leaving their jobs. Like, how to identify those right people that will become great entrepreneurs. And I think AI is just amplifying all of those data strategies and tools, 10x. Some of it can be self-built, proprietary to a particular fund. Some of it is just general knowledge productivity tools, like whatever your Google Suite pushing in ways for you to read legal docs in 5 minutes instead of however long it used to take you, all sorts of simple things like that, to the capabilities of deep research, and ability to research and understand markets and sectors and technologies very, very quickly. I do think we need to avoid this kind of AI slopification of VC. It's still about having the right non-consensus investments and views and opinions. It's still about informing yourself well and being as sharp as you can be. And we wouldn't want that to just, drift into a kind of messy, this was clearly written or thought of by AI type of thinking.
VCs, take note, your LinkedIn feeds have got quite samey and dull, so if people could shake things up a bit with less ChatGPT use, that would be amazing. Final question would you say is AI definitely the thing that will define this investment cycle, or could something else come along to upend it?
I think it's clearly defining it as of today. My view is that we are actually looking at a super cycle, and nothing that we've seen like this in at least my lifetime as an entrepreneur. AI, the second order effects of what AI is bringing forward right now are playing out in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And a part of that is that we're making massive advancements in compute and energy. And they are enabling the next layer of innovation then across other industries on top of just like the core of AI, what we're looking at right now, and where sort of we seem to want to see returns right now across biotech, healthcare, defense, and whatnot. So I think this is a super cycle. The only reason why that remains a statement that sort of in itself is theory and hope is macroeconomic conditions. We're all subject in this space to whatever happens on the planet, and the planet happens to be at the weirdest, most, I think, like scary place it's been in my lifetime as well. So God knows what happens next in the markets. That could like challenge this view that I have here. But fundamentally, what this technological development set us up right now is a super cycle and nothing else.
Do you think any AI investments could completely make or break funds? Or firms, I guess.
I mean, I think like a specific AI investment could certainly make a fund. Yeah.
Great entrepreneurs need to be great human beings for the time being. And so I feel like I'm not only in the job that I love to do, but I feel like I'm in a very, very safe job because like we're still investing in people. And that, for a time being, is not being taken away by AI.
Maybe Jens, a final message for any LPs in the audience. Why is now the time to invest in a European fund manager?
Yeah, that's a political question. That is personal preferences and views that I would express with that. I feel values matter if you look at the planet and at humanity. I feel values are probably broadly sitting at the right place if I look at Europe right now. And I feel I find broadly more positivity in that right now than I find in many other places. So, and I do think that Trump has actually done something remarkable. He's done so many things that have woken up Europe. I said that before the election. Like I do actually hope he wins because that's the kick in the ass we need in Europe. And I think it was the kick in the ass that we like needed in Europe. And I don't think it was strong enough probably because we're still have frameworks and history and legacy that takes a while to like pick up pace, but I do feel it. I feel the energy and I feel the substance. And I do really hope that sort of we can keep that momentum. So I think you're investing in a very strong fundament if you do that in Europe right now.
Amazing. My little clock timer is saying 0 minutes, so thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.